Right, welcome to Fishing Squad. Well, we're start part 2. It'll just be a series of sessions, probably 2 or 3. Hopefully we'll get some fish on camera. I'm off out tonight. What date we're on? Is it Wednesday 13th of April? Low tide's about 2 in the morning on the 14th, so I'll be off tonight about midnight. We're going to a deep water outlet to start with, a place where I've seen a £15 Bull Huss caught a long time ago. I still feel it's a bit early in the year. This particular occasion, it was on May, Spring Bank Holiday, May week. What we used to have off when we were kids at school. Kids still get it off now. That used to be a favourite week to target Bull Huss. So we're going on to a mark where it produced fish. Usually me and my dad have at least one each out per session. I'm going to fish a rod exactly the same way we used to, apart from I'm going to fish it with a pennel. It's going to be a pennel up length rather than just a plain hook. It'd normally be a 600 Shaughnessy, but I'm using a 60 Kyoki. I've got a mustard. It's a big dog at the back of it. It's a pennel, 140 pound hook length, size 20 swivel. That's going to be the hook length that's tied on my main line. My main line will be tied on here, and on my main line there'll be a bead, just a cushion against there, another swivel. 18 pound line with a lead on it, and that'll be all I'm using. Simple running ledger rig. So we'll see how that goes. I've spooled both my multipliers up with 70 pound braid. I just took it on the beach and a few casts with it, and you know what? I'm quite impressed with it. Say it's it's strong stuff. People moan about that it don't cast. It don't burn your finger by any means. I'm not a power caster, but I easily swim 120 yards, no problem. We're going absolutely. I was surprised how well it cast. So we'll see how we go. And we don't need to power cast for Bull Huss. A gentle 60-yard lob off most rock marks will put you in with a chance of getting fish. I picked some mackerel up. I'm going to go with mackerel and squid with a couple of scad as well involved with it, I think. It's only going to be a short session. Probably do 2 hours before low, maybe an hour to 2 hours after, depending on how tired I feel. We've got a good big day planned for tomorrow. No fishing involved. So I've got to get back and have a bit of sleep. Be a bit of few drinks involved. So we'll see how it goes. Like I say, there's going to be a couple of sessions on this video. I'm going to try and keep it as minimal as possible, like this chit-chat stuff, and just focus on purely the fishing. So the next bit of the video will be at the mark. I've got a new headtorch to test out. I've got a rod rest lamp, it's just a bike light to try out. And I've got my braid to try out. So 3 things we're going to try out. We're going to fish one rod with simple running ledger rig, that one. Another rod we're going to put a pulley rig on. So that's as detailed as it's going to be in terms of, tactics and rigs. It's all good tides. So we'll try and keep this chit chat minimal so it's more focused on the fish and we get a decent, not too long video, but a good quality fishing video. So see you at the mark. Right guys, just got the first rod out. Just correction on what I said my rigs were. One of them's an up and over rig, another one's just that simple running ledger. I thought I've got some pulley rigs as well, but first rig I grabbed, our bundle I put in was up and over. So first rod's out, mackerel squid on for bait, and I feel really comfortable down here tonight. We've got like a thick sea mist that's clogging all light. It's just clearing actually, it's just cleared, crazily. It made you feel a bit more secure in this mad darkness that you get down here on Llyn. Yeah, so I've put one rod out, and then I'm just going to steadily put the other rod out. We're a bit early still, we're 4 hours before low. So I'm probably going to fish it down to low, maybe a little bit back up, but I've got a lot on tomorrow, so I want to be nice and refreshed for that. So yeah, I'm happy with lighting as well, which is good, isn't it? Got a new headtorch, clue light. It's bright as basically. I'm excited, I really am tonight. I'll spin you around. So one rod we've got out at the minute. If we just take that away, if you can see, I've got a light lamp on rod rest. You can't really see, but it does actually help with the visibility of your rod tip. Better than a night light, skylights, what you want to call them. That's the sea. Rod rest here, sort of angled, sort of that way. The sea's that way, but there's some clean ground over there. But my line's gone left deep current, so. We'll see. I just feel confident as oak tonight, really do. So get over rod out and then we'll see what happens. Both rods out. I don't know if that light's any good. Let's have a look. I don't know if you can see. You see the just about. check it out. It's very, let's turn it up a bit, because it'll, it's on lowest setting that. That's the top setting, that's better. Let's have a look, see what that's like. Sorry, just bear with me with the camera. Right, I'll come on my head torch up. That's top setting. It's mint that, innit? Cheers for Bates' angling on Instagram. I don't know if he's got a YouTube or out, but he put me onto that. Quite happy with that. Both rods out. Simple running ledger rig on one. Up and over rig on other. I forgot to bring any spare line for leaders. So if we lose any gear, we'll be fishing braid straight through. What a clown. If that don't work, I could probably get away with putting a 30-pound leader on. It sounds like nothing, but it'll just give me a bit of abrasive resistance if need be. I can swap one of the reels over to 101 and not fish with a leader. We'll see what happens, but you know, it is what it is. That fog's come back in thick now. You can see it, that cloudiness is blowing in between rods there. So we'll see what happens like. Feeling confident. So I've had two bait ups. This second bait up, I had a bite. I did have a bite actually on the last one. It looked a bit doggy fishy or crabby. One of them where you're not looking at your rods, you turn, you sway, you see it bend. I've just lost the leader as well on the one on left. I put one with 50-pound leader and one with 70, one with 80 I mean. But I'm not too worried as long as my line, the rock's there, as long as my line stays out in the tide like that on both rods. I'm relatively happy with that. Right, so we're at a bite for a couple, for you know, for what, 45 minutes, an hour being down here. We're on second bait up. So what I'm going to do is, I've got some scad in there. I'm going to slice 3 or 4 of them up into small chunks and throw them in. I'm not going to do it on camera because basically it's hard work at the minute because of conditions. But let's just see how it goes. Yeah, that rod rest light's mint, man. It's a bike light, rechargeable. Still a bit early on in tide light, but let's get the bait in while we come up to the bit at tide where I think the fish are going to feed. Let's have it, innit? You know what I mean? So yeah, I've got braid direct on that left hand rod now. I can only give it a go. Like I say, I've got a reel in my bag that's got 30-pound mono straight through. If we have to go like that, we'll go like that if need be. Might be a bit challenging landing fish. I'll just spin you around. A bit challenging landing fish, like I say. Something you can do. We've got a small tide tonight. It's 7.9 the high tide for today. I don't really pay much attention to how small the numbers are on the column for the low water. I always judge it on the height. So what you can do, you can alter your hook lengths to find longer hook snoods on smaller tides, shorter hook snoods on big tides. But sort of vary it between sort of 10 inches say to 18. Adopt that. Do 10 inches on your big tides and try and do 18 inches on your small tides if you can. We're about somewhere in between there like tonight. It's got a pocket of clearness coming over now. It's still a bit misty, but it's just gone clear. It's right weird when it goes clear. So as sea mist blows over, there's like pockets of clear in it. So we're just waiting for a bite. I'm going to get these scad chopped up anyway, like I say. It can sometimes make a difference if there's fish in the area, even if it's dogfish. I'd be happy with a dogfish to start with on first session. Not happy, but I don't want to be blanking basically. That's the other thing we're using a 6-0. You're guaranteed to catch a doggy at least if there's no bus in the area. So like I say, we're going to have one session on here tonight. Probably not doing any fishing tomorrow, and then we'll get back to it on Friday and we'll see what's happening. It's nice to be out, so we'll get these scad chucked in, see if it can make a difference, see if my point gets proved or not, isn't it? You know, you can't make fish feed if they're not here. I mean, I felt super confident when I come down. I'm now backtracking out, but I've come down a bit too early, to be honest. So we'll see what happens anyway. I had one decent bite since the last strict video. I've thrown my scad in. Shortly, about 20 minutes after, I did get a bite. Oh, right hand rod. I've now got a ripping current at the left. I think it's just changed, possibly, maybe not. We're 2 hours before low tide still. Well, you know, in that window still, like I said, we're early. 2 hours before low tide, I'd say. Give it another hour and we might start picking some fish up. I always like to get down early and get sorted out, but Probably come down too early. We'll see. I like that window over low tide usually. I mean, I'm not as confident as I was, but my baits are... Last one, on one right hand rod here, come back with nothing on last time. I did have a little bite, but it didn't develop into anything, so I just left it. Left hand rod, it was totally untouched. So, like I say, I've got a ripping current to left. I mean, it's teaming to left. What it does do is it keeps your line away from the rocks. I mean, it's been fine using, I'll spin you around. It's been fine using braid straight through, to be honest. You don't realise how much stretch is in mono. That's the first lesson I've learned. There's so much stretch. When you pick mono up and pull, you're just stretching and stretching and stretching. You think you're pulling it through a snag, maybe. You're not. With braid, that direct pressure, you might feel that it parts easy sometimes, but it's not that. You've just got direct pressure on the snag. You either pull for a break or you get your gear back. I've had it both happen so far. I've only lost one rig so far, which is strange for a small tide. Maybe the venue I'm on, because I've got a bit of clean ground to go at. Not masses of it, you know, you do get in snags still, but there's just a strip just to right to me, like a diagonal, like 2 o'clock cast as you're looking out to sea. So, or 1 o'clock. Obviously it doesn't really matter when current's teaming, it's tearing like this, so we'll just see what happens. I'm still confident that we'll get something, even just a doggy like you say. You come down pumped up, feeling fully confident, and that with some fishing sometimes it doesn't quite deliver. But like I say, it's still early tide, so let's give it a go, isn't it? Nothing else to do. Right, we'll just put the last bait ups out. It's about half hour after low tide now. It's like 10 to 3 in the morning. I've been here since 10:30. I've had a couple of crappy bites. Did really edible crabbing and it dropped off on the ledge below. Don't want edible crabs. I'm certainly not going down to the lower ledge to grab one of them. Grab a Bull Huss. It's gone dead up at bottom at tide, absolutely dead. So we're just going to fish it to an hour back in and then head off. Last baits have gone out. Still got a bit of bait left. Tripod light's gone out now as well. Did 4 hours. Quite happy with it. I could have put it on a low setting, to be fair. And that'll be it for this session unless I get a fish out. So video will keep rolling. I'll put my blanks in as well as my successors, you know. You've got to put a bit of persistence in with fishing sometimes. Tides are getting bigger. I prefer small tides, but this was like a large version of a small tide, if you like. It was at the base, what I'd consider a small tide. It was the top level of a small tide. But I didn't expect to at least get it to be a doggy fest. It wasn't that. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully we'll get a fish before we go. If not, we'll be on with the next session. So let's keep at it. Right, so we're second session on the Huss. We're going out again in the dark. It's about 9:15 now on just wait there. I'm miles off here. I've lost a day because I was up all most at night. Right, it's 9 o'clock on the 15th, Friday the 15th of April. You may have seen in the previous section of the video I mentioned about doing something tomorrow involved having a beer and stuff. I met one of the people that's been following me for a few months now, Paul. Had a few beers, met his family, he's met my family. We had a really lovely night last night. A couple of drinks and stuff, bit of food. You know, that's something that I mentioned before that I didn't anticipate that'd happen. We're doing a YouTube channel and stuff, but it's a really nice part of it. Luckily, we're staying sort of the same holiday in sort of the same area of North Wales, so quite close to each other. Probably missed each other quite a lot over the years and stuff, without realising it. So last night we had a bit of food, a couple of beers and all that, and then today we've done a bit of fishing at Porthyscadden for wrasse. We managed to get hold of some fresh blow lug. We just fished off the ridge, like dropping it downside into the bay there. We had a couple of tentative bites, and then sort of both managed to get a ballon wrasse each. I'm going to put pictures into them now. and then we had a coffee, then we've come back. But I just thought I'd fire a couple of questions at Paul, because he does quite a bit, he's done quite a lot of fishing over the years. I just thought I'd fire a question at him about dimensions on his pulley rigs that he uses for like rays and stuff in the Mersey, etc. I'm not going to go into exact details of like his dimensions, because it's his rig. I don't really want to be like going, oh, go fishing with Paul's rig tonight and I've caught 4 Bull Huss, or go fishing with Paul's rig tonight and my rigs have caught more than. I just want to try something different. We've got bigger tides now. The way I usually just make a pulley rig for deep water rock fishing is I just get a long length of like a full arm spanner leader material, that's my rig body, and then just do one of them like shoulder width for my hook snood. But I've spoke to Paul tonight and he uses equal dimensions but quite long, so I've made one up. I'm incorporating a circle as the back hook, like I've started doing with some of my tote rigs, just to experiment. I did hook an Huss on the circle at the start of the year, and I've seen a few other YouTubers. I'll mention Adam Bond. I don't know if you watch my channel. If you do, mate, just give us a comment. You know, it'd be nice to just have a comment off you. I've watched a lot of videos that you do with your Huss fishing and stuff. Very interesting, very good fun to watch. But I've got a long hook snood here. It's like, my arms are like that when they're fully stretched, so I don't know. I'm not going to just work that out over. And the rig body's an equal dimension. So, obviously, because we're fishing for toothy critters, I like to fish quite heavy. I've got a 80 pound rig body, 140 pound snood. So, we'll just see if that works. But I'm going to fish it on one rod. I've made 2 up, because we're fishing a clean ground mark, hopefully, tonight. And the other one, I've just gone for a short biting trace of about 1 foot. Just nearly spiked my finger. And then I've got it's quite a short rig body, this. It's about the same length as the one on the rig that I'm using based on Paul's dimensions. So we'll just see how that goes. You know, like I said before, usually big tides are like a smaller snood. Sometimes that was on a running ledger rig though. I'd just like to mention that, just your simple running ledger rig back in the day when I used to fish for them quite a lot, like in May and stuff. So we'll just give that a go, see if it works. It's energy sapping sometimes, you know. We had a day out today at Porthiscaden, just sat or stood fishing in fresh air. It's tiring sometimes. We caught them wrasse just on like drop shotting tackle, spinning rod with a little rig, size 4 hook. Just changing subject back to that. So yeah, we'll just see how we get on tonight. Then we're doing Porthiscaden with Jamie tomorrow night. Up to high tide and down, just to see if we can prove the point about that mark. I mean, at Porthiscaden today there was a lot of like Bull Huss, stroke dogfish, egg purses on the beach. It's always got to be a positive sign, that, hasn't it? So we'd assume that there's some in the area, but fishing an east facing rock mark tonight. It's produced a couple of fish already. Last Bull Huss was off there. Got squid, mackerel and scad for bait. We'll see how we get on. I really enjoyed that session the other night. I did 5 hours. It's obviously disappointing that you don't catch, but you still, you know, it's still nice to be out. It's famous saying that, isn't it? You know, we all say it when we're blank, don't we? But genuinely, it was a nice still evening. Very misty, very damp, but strangely the rocks were dry, despite all the damp in the atmosphere. I don't know how that works. We've still got a bit of mist in the air. It's forecast a muggy weekend, really. But we'll just see how things go tonight. I'm looking forward to it. Probably gonna have a couple hours sleep before I head out. I'm just going to check the tide times for tonight. just so we know what we're doing. Right, yeah, so we've got a low tide at 3:30 in the morning. So I'll probably leave it about midnight. So I might go get into bed for a couple of hours. It's 9 o'clock now. I'll get a couple of hours sleep. And then just checking, having a look at some tide times here while I've got it in my hand. Yeah, then go out. See what happens. Just hold that to you. I don't know if you can see that. We're looking at the first low tide there. What it looks like. It's backwards into 3:27, that says. So yeah, looking forward to it. I know the first bit of this video was a bit brief in terms of what actually happened in the session. Did have an edible crab drop off on the retrieve. Obviously, it's not really an achievement, that is it? So, fingers crossed we actually connect with some fish tonight. I've got some blowwood left from our session earlier, but I think I'm going to keep them for tomorrow night. Probably fishing 3 rods tomorrow night. We'll have a flapper. Well, we'll talk now. I'll be using some of these rigs that I've showed you for tomorrow night. This will be like the session after the next session of the video, which will be another night session. And tomorrow night we'll be fishing with Jamie. And we'll be using the similar type of methods, but on one rod I'll put a flapper rig out for smaller species. So, fingers crossed. We'll have a good session. We'll get a Bull Huss out, and we're happy, and we achieved what we came here to do. It's going to be quite a long video, this. I did say I wouldn't gibber on, but I've gibbered on a bit, haven't I? So we'll see what happens anyway. See you at the mark. Right, we're here. I've just got a short pulley rig on one, and that longer version of one that I've nicked off Paul. I've lashed my bait on with elastic, got circle up behind, 6/0 KOK at the bottom, it's 10/0 circle at the top. That's all the circles I've got. Just gone with scad and squid on both rods. I already cast one rod out, now I'm going to cast this rod out, then we'll have a chat. See the boat casting. Rod up right's got the short pulley rig on, rod up left's got the long pulley rig on. Spin you around. So we got down, I got up a little bit late. I've ended up going to a different ledge to the one I said I'm going to go. I'm going a bit further west. And we've got down here, got both baits out for like 3:12, low tide we're at 3:27. So I believe we're over that period of slack water, low tide, what the Bull Huss do like. But after the other night, confidence has took a bit of a hit. We'll have to see how we get on. Got a ripping current to the right at the minute. Just hoping that we get a couple of fish out tonight. I mean, last Bull side was on an open over rig. And most recent ones have been on pulley rigs. So we'll just have to see how we get on, like I say. Don't really know what to expect tonight. I feel confident. I think there must be a full moon or something. You can't see it though, because it's clouded up, because it is quite bright. You know, like you can see the horizon and stuff, even though it's like far out into countryside. So, got braid on both rods again. I've actually brought my leaders, shock leader today, spare shock leader. So we've put leaders on both. Just see how we get on, won't we? I mean, I've been working with lighting and stuff to get decent pictures. I could get an awesome picture, couldn't I, of a fish here? Look at this. But we need to catch a fish first. But could easily get a nice picture of a Huss. So I'll have a bit of practice. I've just been having a bit of practice with lighting for when the moment happens. I just hope it happens in this video, otherwise we'll have to go on and do a part 3. I'm just trying to think what else. Just noticed on the rod I've baited up, I've got some like red elastic. Just watching on the rods. It's quite thick. It's years old. Found it in amongst some of my dad's old boat fishing tackle. You know when you're securing hooks in bait on your pennel hook, the bottom hook, sometimes when putting a big bait on it can twist sometimes. Get some of this. It's about, what? It's probably 1.5 millimeters thick. So what I do is when I'm wrapping like wraps up, I use a Tronics Pro fine elastic, and I've been putting this thicker stuff on when I mount it onto the hook. So I had a lot of crab activity the other night. I don't like my bait being nicked. Plus the thicker stuff seems to hold the hooks in better, you know, with big baits. So, but then I've got in my head, does red put them off? Because it's red. So, let's see what happens anyway. It's still lovely to get out. It's really quiet now. We've got light southerly wind on our right cheek. And yeah, see what happens. Fish of the night, baby strap conger, about £3. I've just lost the fish on the other rod. Possibly could have been a Bull Huss on the other rod. It felt like something half decent. Probably should have let the bite develop, but we're going to get him up, get a picture with him. Yeah, that's the trouble. So look, see if we just get a bit of light on go. Sorry there. That's him. Not a big one. Shortly before that one. So I'm going to get rebaited, get on scad squid on that first bait up, but bites on both rods, lost the fish on one, landed one on the other, so let's crack on, let's keep at it, let's have a see if we can get some more fish out. Right, so that's first fish. I was trying to still messing about with lighting. That's first fish we've had on first bait up. I lost another fish on the other one. I probably should have left the bite to develop a bit. So we've had bites on both rigs. I'm quite happy about that. Something else, I always carry that with me. You know, we mentioned about O'Shaughnessy's hooks earlier in the video. Sorry, when we mentioned about O'Shaughnessy's hooks in part 1. I just hold my hook up with it's a tile file that. It's quite a good thing, so good to have. I always have something decent to unhook fish. I've got a pair of long nose pliers here. You know, just extra bits. It's always good to have something to unhook fish. I've got a T-bar, a big disgorger in my bag as well. It's quite good for just getting hooks out of Bull Huss and stuff. I mean, your island like to get bit by one without putting your hands in its mouth and letting it bite you. As long as you handle them confidently and stuff. But you don't really want to be putting your fingers in its mouth. So good start that. So I've got squid and mackerel on both rods now. I'm going to make a couple more wraps up ready for my next bait up. Hopefully, meantime we'll have a bite. What I noticed with braid as well, I actually saw the conger bite, it just give one of them. But my other rod will go in when I lost that fish on the other rod. It's literally just give one bite like that. You don't see that with mono because it's stretching it. Honestly, I think I'm convinced about braid now. I spoke to a couple of people about it, and I've been watching. I don't know if anybody watches Billy's Fishing. I think it is on YouTube. He uses it straight through with a braid leader, and it's highly recommended. It hasn't really hindered my casting because I'm not a big caster anyway. So let's see what happens. Guys, second fish at night. That is a lunker of a 3-bearded Rockling. It's about 16 inches long. It must be a good over £1. Easy. We'll get him up, get a picture with him, we'll give him away. Picture with him first, I think, before we unhook him. I'll try and get a nice picture with him. I don't. You get the drift how big he is. So I'm just going to grab my scales out of my bag. We'll unhook him after we've weighed him because I can weigh him on snood. If you don't, as long as you're careful with fish and you're not throwing them about everywhere, like this boy here, it's totally fine. Right, it's on 0 that. Yeah, as long as you're careful with fish and not throwing them about, it's totally fine, isn't it? As long as you handle them correctly. But it might look a bit crude weighing. Just put my head torch on. Weighs £1.5. £1.5 Rockling. I mean, what would you have just Just cannot believe how big he is. Look at that. Look at him. He is a lunker. Get in. Not what we came for, like, but we'll take it. Put him back. Let's go down here and put him back. Even here on a night, you know, it's a big thing about using these dongle rigs for rays and whatever else, blah blah blah. Yeah, circle ups look like they're the way forward for certain species. Let's put him back. I hope you can see him, he's gone anyway, good lad. Been joined by a seal. I hope you can see him very well. Giant head torch just there. I don't think I'll be too impressed looking into my head torch, to be fair. It's got a bite on this rod here at the minute. It's stuck though. Got ripping currents at right, but in between casting it out and the current changing, it's sort of ripping it right. If you look at the one on rod wrist on the right hand side, the line's going that way. The one here is still straight out because it's stuck. I did have a Rockling bite type thing on it a minute ago. I've got a ripping current at right, it's absolutely. I'm just going to tighten the drag up a bit on this rod up right because I'm going to end up with about 500 mile of line out otherwise. That's what the clicks are. I'm going to try and pull for a break on this one up left. Might just be the leads got snagged. Guys, another small strap conger. I mean, I'll just show you something with this fish. He's actually hooked on the circle, but because he's been spinning, he's got the bottom hook in the bottom jaw as well. God knows how long he's been sat on that for. I was just on about it earlier, wasn't I? So I'm going to get him unhooked. We'll have a picture with him. So another conger eel. Only a small one. Another bycatch of the old Huss fishing. So we'll get him put back. And I feel I'm going to get some fresh bait spot on before it gets light. It's just getting light. Let's get fresh bait out. Well, good morning. So we're still here. Not been a bad session. We've had 2 congers. I've just rebaited both rods. Get fresh bait out as it's getting light. That's another good time to catch sharks. As it's getting light or as it's getting dark. I haven't had any bites since conger. That rod that was stuck materialised to nothing. Actually snapped on my leader, not that one. First time that's happened with braid. When I've been using an 80-pound leader. So I'll just spin you around. Obviously, we're still missing target species. I mean, I'm not going to make any excuses. I still think it's early in the year for him. I mean, we've had one in every month so far. As a general rule of thumb, though, late May, going into June. Just something to show you. It's the damage what a conger does to your rig when it's on. You don't realise it's on. It just spins and spins and spins. Easy to do is chop the rig off. I'll snip the bait off in a bit with the scissors and I'll chop that rig up and reuse the components on it. It's gone a little bit dead. Probably have, let's check the time. Probably have one more bait up and head home. I mean, it's been relatively successful in terms of catching some fish at least this time. Not what we came for, it's bycatch. I don't mind catching congers. Oh, I should have done a video about catching congers from the shore, shouldn't I? I'm surprised I haven't had a bull Huss. I mean, I've been fishing it in darkness. You know, we should get bull Huss. Right? Even though I still say it's early, even though we've been getting them through winter. Some people might disagree with me, but we never used to catch them through winter. So, try Porthy Scaddon tonight. Know what else happens in this session. We'll see you at Porthy Scaddon. Right, we're at Porthy Scaddon. We've come on, it's got Jamie with me. We've come onto this ledge. We possibly might get cut off at the top of the tide for an hour or a couple of hours. High tide's at 10 o'clock at night. We're going to fish it till 12. Just about to send my first rod out, but been a lovely day today. I'm going to fish 2 rods. I was going to fish 3, but I forgot to bring my 3rd rod for some reason. So I've just baited one of my rods up. Got a pulley pennel rig on, squid mackerel, squid scad wrap, homemade gripper. Gemini splashdown. See how we get on. So I've got both my rods out. James got one rod out at the moment. Got squid and lug on an up and over rig with 3.0 bottom hook, a 5.0 circle behind it, and on the other rod I've got a pulley pennel rig with 6.0 Mustad Viking and a fish zone 6.0 circle behind it with scad and squid wrap on it. It's right, just getting towards dusk now basically. I mean, the terrain around it looks like there'd be rays, you know, there'd be congers, bull huss, dogfish. But obviously we want a bull huss because that's what we've come for. We'll just have to see, won't we, what happens. It's a nice evening. It's going to stay dry and settle for the rest of the evening, so I'm just getting a little bite on my left hand rod on the lugworm squid wrap. Probably have a chance of getting a ball and rest in these last knockings of daylight. Never caught one in darkness, so we'll just have to see how we get on. Just been getting a bit of a dogfish bite on right hand rod. That nibbly bite on left hand rod, I don't know if it would bite or if it would just... It is still, but there's a little bit of breeze. Bit of a contradiction. I have just had a dogfish bite on the right hand rod. Stopped on cue, it stopped. So we'll see what happens. James just drop shotting down the side. Got a nice little ballon wrasse. Nice one, mate, on black lug. Oops, wrasse. It just looks a different shape. Do you think it's a dart? I don't know. I think it's a ballon wrasse, James. With you, its head looks a ballon wrasse here. Nice one, though, mate. Nice one. Right, still, I haven't had anything. We'll just them 2 wrasse for Jamie. I've had a doggy bite on right hand rod like I said earlier in the video, and the left hand rod I reeling in. I said it were a bit breezy, I didn't think it were. Well, I contradicted myself actually to start with. I said it's a still night, and then I said it's a little bit breezy. But correction, it is a still night, but there's a little bit of a breeze that keeps just coming on our backs a little bit. And I thought it was giving me a false bite, but when I reeled in, it felt like there was a crab attached to it because it let go midway through reeling in. So, obviously, it's not good, is it, a crab? But so about an hour off high tide now. So we are going to cut off. Well, I don't know if we're going to be fully cut off, to be fair. We'll see. We'll be alright anyway. Once the tide starts ebbing out, over out an hour after high, that'll be able to get across there. So it's worth just, you know what you're doing, you know what the tides are doing. It's you're sound enough just to be on here. If it's a calm day, you know the wind's not going to pick up from in your face and all that. Even then, you'll probably only be knee deep in water if you went across the trench behind us. So just get a doggy bite on right and rod. I don't know if you saw that. It's a classic doggy bite. It's one of them jittery jerky. I think my lines might be crossed though, that's the only trouble. Might have to swap rods around up on the rest. We'll see. Right, first fish of the night for me. Little doggy. He's bleeding a little bit, but he'll be fine. We'll get him put back. I think we'll be in for a doggy fest. Right, he's gone back. Get another bait on, have another go. Right, well, I'll just have to move back a little bit. So this is what we're working with now. There's water behind us, but you could get out if you needed to. You just jump down and step on that up there and out. In fact, we've done it before. My mate Mark did it once. He dropped his e-cig. And he really wasn't happy about that. We've just had to move off the ledge that we're on just in front of us. Just start to lap up on there. We sound here. I've just dropped something. I got stuck on the reel. I don't know if it was a crab or what. So I got stuck and there was nothing on it. One of the hooks had bent out. So I don't know. So up behind us, see the moon rising. Not a bad sight. Nice clear sky over there. It's a bit muggy over here. Let's see if we can get some more fish out. Alright, well, not much else has happened at all. It's been strangely quiet. We're at high tide now, so you think the dogfish had gone berserk, wouldn't you, at high tide? I think they'd be taking everything you put out there, but they're not. It's been agonisingly slow since that dogfish, unfortunately. So we fished it from approximately 7:30 till 10, 10 being high tide. Now we're going to fish it a couple hours down, see what happens. But I was hoping that we'd be busy catching fish. Still time left yet though. Still no sign of Mr. Bull Huss. I'm just getting a bite on left hand rod then. It's a small scad squid bait that. Views on my blow lug. Fingers crossed something happens. Right, still no more bites at the minute. I'm going to leave my bait out for a bit longer. Put a full scad on with a bit of squid strap to it. I've cast it a fair way. One success about this trip so far has been the braid. It really has been. I haven't lost as much gear for it to start with, and I seem to be able to cast pretty decently with it, so it's a win-win at the minute. Just need some decent fish to turn up. It's been a bit disappointing out of the Huss. We've done one hell of a lot of night fishing, so we may try a day session. We've got the rest of Saturday, then Easter Sunday's tomorrow. May try a day session on Easter Monday. Dead. In terms of bites, it's just dead. I think Jamie might have just dropped a dogfish a minute ago, but other than that, we've had no sign of a bite now. It's just gone completely dead over the top of the tide. Let's check what time it is. We're half hour after high tide, so we'll be alright to make a quick escape soon. If we're still blanking. Well, we're not blanking over, but you know, if we haven't caught anything else. We'll have to see. Disappointing so far. Hopefully things pick up as it starts to ebb out. We'll have to see. We've managed to get another fish finally. We've had a series of tentative bites, if you can call it a fish, which resulted in that. It's the baby strap conger. Nothing special, but most welcome fish at the minute. Hopefully that's a sign the fish are coming on the feed. Right, so just put the last two bait ups out. We've tried everything really, there's not really much else we can try. First conger I've had off this mark. Still the bluffs aren't showing, so probably one more session added onto this video. Bit disappointing. We are starting to get some bites now as the tide's ebbed out. We're about, I'll just check the time. We're about 2 hours after high water and we've started to get bites again. Don't know if the crabs or fish. We'll see what happens. If no else happens, we'll be on to the next part of the video. Good morning. Well, last session, and I've got up late this morning. I'll blame you, Paul. No, pal. Good night last night. I had a few beers with Paul. The guy that I caught the rest with earlier on in the video. You know, just the two pictures that I've put in. So just give a big shout out to Paul, Claire and Chloe. We met them this weekend and we've had a cracking weekend in between doing a load of fishing. So cheers for that, guys. Back to the fishing. Now I've got up late this morning because I feel a bit ropey. I had far too many beers. Well, not far too many beers. I had a good night. Far too many beers for going fishing at the correct time of tide and stuff. So, which would have been about 2 o'clock in the morning. So it's about 10 to 7 in the morning now. I'm going to get on the mark for 10, fishing into the mark where I caught my last Bull Huss. Get on the mark for 10, get on the mark for 7, fish it for probably 3 hours, then head off. Now I've been a bit late, I haven't been lazy, but I've got a lot of bait and I've got a load of tote rigs that I've made up ready for when tote season starts. So I'm going to put a tote rig on one and fish just like a standard Bull Huss rig on the other. Tote rig consists of an 8/0 bottom hook and a 10/0 circle above it. So pulley rig on both rods. So we'll see how we get on. I mean, it's a lovely morning. There's a little bit of breeze. It's cloudy, but you know, it's fairly, even with a bit of breeze, it's fairly pleasant. So we'll see you at the mark. First rod about to go out. It's got a tote rig on that, 10/0 circle at the back, 6/0 showing sit, 8/0 showing sit at the bottom. Quite a big bait. Got loads of bait to use up. So we'll fish one rod with this method. Simple tote pulley rig, wire trace, £100 wire, and I think £150 rig body. The length of the rig's about 6 foot in its entirety, including about 1.5 foot of wire. So we'll get this cast out. I'll tackle smaller bait trace up if you like. See what happens. Second rod, simple up and over, small mackerel squid wrap, 6/0 Heatorch on the bottom, 8/0 circle on the top. Let's get it out. See if we can catch something. Nothing's happened on the other rod that I've cast out yet. See what happens. So we're fishing, both rods out. I've got a bigger rig on one, as you've seen, slightly smaller up and over rig on other. Mackerel squid for bait. See what happens, innit? I'm gutted I haven't had a Bull Huss yet for the camera. It is fishing for you, it's no point making excuses. I mean, my video's not staged by any means, you know. I could have cut a few corners and made it, you know, just done part 1 before part 2. I mean, done part 1, sorry, done part 1 after I'd already caught the fish, if you like, which might look better on me. Even if it took me like 3 months to do part 2. But it is what it is, isn't it? Never say never with fishing. We're fishing probably the wrong stage of tide this morning. It's just a last go, you know. But the thing about the mark I'm on, you can fish it through the tides, so it's not an issue. You know, you won't rule it out catching one. It could, with fishing, as disappointed as I am that I haven't caught a Bull Huss for this part 2. We're gonna have to do a part 3, aren't we, by the way? I still could catch one, obviously. I still could catch one. But I have had a good time, that's what I'm going to say. I've really smashed the night fishing to bits. It can be quite a lonely place on these marks on your own, but for whatever reason, on this occasion, I've bought a new headlight. I'll put a shot into the headlight at the end of the video. It's been really good. It's like having a lighthouse on your head. Even though it looks like a satellite dish with how big it is. It's made a massive difference to how you feel when you're night fishing. That's why I feel when I'm night fishing. You can easily spook yourself out down here on these marks in darkness. But I've got used to it, so finally. It's only took 30 years. What I'm going to say. Yeah, usually they do turn up in the night like the Huss, but you can get them in the day. But I've always thought night time's best, but it hasn't been, wasn't to be. Don't know if it's got anything to do with full moon. Look, we can go through all these variables. We will catch one eventually, won't we? So with fishing, it could turn around. I could get 2 out this morning, and the video could be complete, you know. So I'm not ruling it out just yet. I did just have a little bit of a. When I was casting the second rod out, I did have a little bit of a pull on the ratchet. With nothing there, so. Well, it didn't materialise into anything, should I say. All we can do is just complete this session this morning. Hope we at least don't blank, and then take it from there. So we'll see how we get on. I'm not very confident this morning. I felt confident on all the other sessions. It's not this morning. I mean, the Porthy Scadden session was most disappointing. It's a bit of a shame. You know, I don't even go with time of year and all that. If there's enough water in front of us to be catching something decent. Yeah, I think time of year. I don't like putting excuses in way stuff me. There's enough, like I say, there's enough water in front of us. Let's see if we can get something out. Fingers crossed. We'll do the old fingers crossed and hope for the best. Let's see what happens. Got first fish of the session. Still drunk me session. It's a dogfish. Now he's hooked there. Now what you don't do is you do not pull that back on its barb. So it's on the smaller rig. What you do is move the circle cut out of the way. Get your long nose pliers. Whatever you do when the hook's like that. It's a no-brainer hooking them the way I'm going to show you. It's only a doggy, but they still need to be treated with a bit of respect. So what you do is you snip your snood on the knot. I'm just going to show you if I can. Right, just make sure that hook doesn't go in his eye anymore. Right, you snip your snood on the knot. Make sure you get through your snood. Right, take the hook off the snood, and then can you see where that hook is? I'm just going to gently pull that out, keeping his, just tease it out. I don't know if you can see now. It's got some bait. He's got my bait in him though. That's the only trouble. He's got my bait still in his mouth, but he'll go back. No problem. This guy, nice little doggy. Good pick up. Must glad I've caught something. So let's get. I'm just rebaiting. I'm midway through rebaiting the other rod, and that picked it up. So it's important now. If there's fish feeding, let's capitalise on it. Come on. I'll just put him back. Right, guys. So in terms of bait, I'm just taking on the big rod. I'm using sort of third of a mackerel. I like to cut it at an angle like that and get your circle hook in this bit. Let's put a bottom hook in the skull and have it protruding out there. Whip it on, and you circle in. I like to cut it like that because it casts better. I feel. And then for the small bait, I've just been cutting like the mackerel into sections with the scissors. I put that on. Then all I'm doing is getting a squid. They've defrosted enough. Everything was still a bit frozen when I came down here to start with. I prefer using my bait from frozen meat. By keeping it frozen, it's going to be fresher. It can be a bit difficult to work with for the first couple of bait ups like this is proving to be. But it's keeping it fresher, it keeps all the juices in it. If you defrost it, all the juices just leak out everywhere, don't they? So I'm taking the, I'm being a bit fussy today because I've got a lot of bait, so I'm going to take the tentacles off the squid and just detach them off. Throw them in the rock pool or in the sea or whatever, something will eat them. Then I'm just getting like what you call it, it's a squid tube, is it? Whatever. Rest of the squid, just snipping up like that. That section of mackerel is my small bait. It's about, what, 4 inches long. Still quite a big bait really. And then I'm matching it up for size, just get these guts out of this squid. Matching it up for size, and the quill. Matching it up, sorry I keep repeating myself. Yeah, I'm matching it up for size with a piece of mackerel like that. So what I'll do is I'll just snip down the side of it, just so the squid is approximately the same size as the mackerel. Then I make a wrap with the elastic. Now I've already got one here off another section of mackerel, that one. Just strap the squid to it. That's your next bait ready. So then with the, just like that, not very comfortable. Right, with the other bait, same again, pretty much. I'll just use the rest of the squid. You don't have to be quite as particular with this because it's a big bait. just whip a bit off there. So I'll just mount that onto the mackerel like that, whip it on. I'm not video whipping it on because it's a bit boring. Everybody seems to be doing it in the videos these days. I'm sure we all know how to whip a bit of bait on. So yeah, that's what we're using. I've had one fish already. Like I say, we're fishing the incoming tide at the minute. It's probably halfway in, like well, three hours after. It's about 3.5 hours after low, to be fair. So we've got about an hour and a half left of the time we're staying down here for. So get these baits whipped up ready for the next bait change, I think. No, hopefully some more fish will show. Fingers crossed and all that. This is the problem. Once the sea starts coming in, your rods are continually moving with the pressure that it creates. We've got a bit of a current to the right at the moment. It's fishable still. Sometimes you just don't catch as much as what you do over, like, on the ebb, basically. And you can lose more gear as well because if it pulls you into snags. But it is what it is. Let's see what I'd say. We've only got a short window of opportunity this morning, so we're just fishing into it. Just fishing, that's it. This morning, well, we've got a ripping current to the left now. Look at them rod tips. Not a grip lead in the world that can hold out in that. Well, unless you put like a stone of lead on. Got about, very optimistic now. You know, we're at the wrong stage of tide. Like I said before, you never know, do you? Probably just be my last bait up will produce something. But I mean, generally, it hasn't fished that well. You know, it hasn't. I've had 3 congers, 2 dogfish, a Bull Huss and a Rockling out of about 4 sessions. I haven't tried any lure fishing yet. The water seems a bit like cloudy still. It's just hard work if you do that this time of year, I feel. You might pick up a couple of pollock up here and there, or you might be looking to get an early mackerel if there's any about. But it's just not, in my opinion, it's a lot of effort. Well, a lot of time and a lot of effort at the minute, I'd say. I don't bother lure fishing when the water's clarity is this poor. So just a bit disappointed that we ain't caught the target species. Given the fact that we've had one every month so far this year, I thought with all the night fishing I've done, I thought we'd be nailed on for one. But it is what it is, isn't it? You know, I'm sure things will get better as we move towards summer. I'm positive they will. It is early on in the year, like I've said before, but I don't really like using excuses. We've got enough water in front of us, as I've said. So, on marks that have produced consistently. So, we might have to leave you there with this one, guys. Unless something happens. That'll be it for part 2, I'm afraid. We might be back in a couple of weeks to have another go. We'll have to see. I mean, there's usually more dogfish about at this time of year as well, and that failed on that front. Oh, I'm getting a bite on right hand rod now. Let's see what happens. It's a big bait. I've got an absolute monstrous bait on, but we're definitely a bite. I'll just knock the camera off, see if it materialises into anything, then I'll probably do a close down to the video. It materialised into another doggy, but look at the size of the bait it's got down here. So it's big. Why is it going for such a big bait? I don't know. They usually get bored, but it's hooked itself on the 8-0 there. So with this one, all I'll do with this one is I will get my long nose pliers when I can find them. Just my rod on there. Just give me a sec. Now you've got a choice again, because we're using wire and a pennel hook. You can't really cut your wire, so we will go back on the barb. But if you ever get them where you don't think they're going to go back on the barb, you can snip your hook and pull it out. So I'll just gently tease the hook out. Well, get it to a point where I can give it a bit of a pull, if you like that. That's it. Unhooked. Got a bit of blood on him, but at least he's going back. Well, it's a she. At least she's going back without the hook in her, you know what I mean? So, hold it up to the camera. Let's get it up back. Yeah, well, 2 fish. At least we're not blanking like I said before. I was hoping that'd be a Bull Huss bite, so I left it a little bit. But both rods, I've just rebaited both rods, they're last bait ups. I'm going to get packed up and tackle the rods down in a bit. I've got about half hour left in my session. So I wish I'd have tried this spot in darkness, on a different spot like I say today. Where I caught my last Bull Huss. Probably a bit of an error there, but it will be if we catch a Bull Huss before we go anyway. I'm going to say fingers, because I'm not going to do the close down. I nearly did the close down a minute ago and we had another fish, so we'll hold off with the close down. Hopefully a Bull Huss shows with these last 2 bait ups. We'll see what happens. Right, that's it then. So I'm all packed up, ready for my climb back up the cliffs. I mean, generally the fishing has been absolutely, well, it begins with an SH, I'm not going to swear on camera, but we've caught fish, a couple of highlights, a bit of a wrasse session with Paul, we've got a fish each, a couple of lovely ballon wrasse, did a session with Jamie, we didn't blank at least, and then obviously probably a PB Rockling at 1 pound, 1.5 pounds, that's probably the main highlight. I mean, you can take notes, guys. I ain't caught one, but this is what I do to catch them. And when I wasn't really targeting, I was getting them. So it's typical, isn't it? You can see you can get Congers, you can get Huss, Congers, dogfish doing the same type of methods. I did have a taupe rig out today. I mean, can you imagine if we'd up to taupe at this time of year? You know, it's one of them. We've just got to. Tell you what, I did say I wasn't going to gibber on. I've had to gibber on because I haven't caught enough fish. Not to worry. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. You know, this place is absolutely beautiful. I've left the rocks in exactly the same condition that I found them when I come down. I always set my rubbish home with me. So should everybody else. But it's absolutely stunningly beautiful. You know, it can't just be about catching fish sometimes. But we have caught fish, it's not the intended target. This is like a stunningly beautiful place in the world. And yeah. Right, anyway, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to go get some breakfast. Other than that, we'll have another go in a couple of weeks, part 3. It's going to have to be a part 3. Other than that though, keep safe, tight lines from North Wales. Have a good bank holiday Monday. I'll see you soon.